The RNLI runs an increasing number of activities involving children and vulnerable adults. Vulnerable people have a legal right to be safe and secure in the activities that they or their carers choose. Carers have a right to know that the organisation to which they entrust a vulnerable person is safe. The RNLI is committed to protecting the safety and well-being of children and vulnerable adults, and we expect our volunteers and staff to share this commitment and be aware of their own safeguarding responsibilities. So how do we define precisely what a vulnerable adult or a child is? A vulnerable adult is a person who is or may be in need of community care services by reason of mental health or other disability, and who is or may be unable to take care of themselves or unable to protect themselves against significant harm or exploitation. A child is anyone who's not reached their 18th birthday or age of majority. And the fact that a child has become 16 and may be living independently does not change their entitlements to services or indeed to protection. Historically, young people have attended lifeboat stations as potential crew members. Lifeguards dealing with a large number of the public on a regular basis will undoubtedly encounter many children and likely vulnerable adults too. Fundraisers, shop personnel, educational personnel, anyone travelling on institution business. In fact, the possibility of encountering a vulnerable person while engaging in RNLI business exists for all of us. So everyone needs to be aware of their own safeguarding responsibilities. So what is expected of us as representatives of the RNLI? What exactly do we mean by safe behaviour? When interacting with children and vulnerable adults, the following codes of behaviour must be observed. This is as much about protecting you as it is about protecting them. Always put the safety and welfare of the vulnerable person first. Always work in an open environment and avoid situations where you're on your own with a vulnerable person. Avoid transporting vulnerable people alone in a vehicle without full consent from the parent or carer of the individual. Treat all vulnerable people equally with respect and dignity, and build balanced relationships, enabling them to share in any decision-making process. Ensure that if any form of physical support is required, this is done openly, in accordance with our guidelines, and with the consent of the vulnerable person and their parent or carer. Be an excellent role model. This includes not smoking, drinking, or using inappropriate language in front of vulnerable people. You should always conduct yourself in a way that promotes best practice. While physical contact with vulnerable people may be appropriate as a part of your normal duties, for example in a rescue situation, when administering first aid, or when protecting a casualty, it should be avoided in any other situation. Avoid communicating with vulnerable people by phone, mobile, text, letter or email. You should never engage in rough, physical or sexually provocative games, allow or engage in any form of inappropriate touching, make sexually suggestive comments, take a vulnerable person to your home where they will be alone with you. If a vulnerable person is distressed in any way, if they appear to be sexually aroused by your actions or misinterpret something you have done or said, you must report the incident immediately. If you have a concern about the safety or well-being of a child or vulnerable adult, any time of day or night, call the Central Operations Duty Officer on 08451 668 222, who will then complete the incident report form and instigate the appropriate action. For further information and guidance, please visit the safeguarding page and volunteer information zone on Porthole, or email safeguarding@rnli.org.uk.
If a child or vulnerable adult makes an allegation or disclosure to you, you have a duty to act. Stay calm and reassure them that they were right to tell you. Listen and indicate that you are taking what they are saying seriously. Keep questions to a minimum. Don't lead or suggest words and ideas. Explain that you have to tell other people in order to stop what is happening. Report the incident. The safety of the vulnerable person is paramount. If they require medical attention, call an ambulance and make sure you let them know that it's a safeguarding issue. Equally, if you think that they require protection, call the police. And again, let them know that you have safeguarding concerns. If you suspect that a child or vulnerable adult has been the subject of abuse, it's not your responsibility to decide if that abuse has occurred, but it is your responsibility to let the appropriate people know. There are many signs that abuse is occurring, and these may include unexplained, inconsistent or suspicious injuries, such as bruising, cuts or burns. Another adult or child expressing concern about the welfare of the child or vulnerable adult. Unexplained changes in behaviour, for example, more withdrawn or sudden outbursts of anger. Inappropriate sexual awareness and engagement in sexually explicit behaviour. Distrust of adults, particularly those with whom a close relationship would normally be expected. Difficulty in making friends and being prevented from socialising with others. Variations in eating patterns, including overeating or loss of appetite. Loss of weight for no apparent reason. Becoming increasingly dirty or unkempt. An unexplained drop in performance. Or other physical signs such as stomach aches, headaches and damaged clothes. Shortage of money or frequent loss of possessions, the list goes on. It's really important that we're all able to recognise signs of potential abuse.
Familiarise yourself with the signs and symptoms of potential abuse. Familiarise yourself with the RNLI's safeguarding policy. Please remember your safeguarding responsibility at all times. Thank you.